Hello my festive friends, it's December the 2nd, and you know what that means? It's time for another dram. It may always feel like it's time for another dram, but this close to Christmas I feel like it's more allowed than usual. So door number 2, and as always, must not look. So this is a double-sized door, but as we found out last year, that doesn't mean that there's 2 in there. It just means that they're standing up. Hopefully, well no, I was going to say hopefully they're all vertical, but obviously yesterday's wasn't. But so hopefully they haven't leaked, is what I'm saying. So door number 2, hopefully we're going to have something even better than yesterday's Glenrothes 18-year-old Soleo collection. In hindsight, probably should have kept half of this, so I had it to compare to future drams, but I didn't. I drank it. Right, where's the join in the label so I can point it away from me? So I should be safe there. Oh, that's different. A little bit peppery, a little bit spicy. That's very unusual. I think that's about half. Get the top back on. Label still pointing away from me. What I could do, for anyone at home that wants to see it, that hasn't got their own calendar at home, this is what it is. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if it's in focus, obviously I can't look, but that's what it is, and it's now behind the calendar. Definitely very different to yesterday's dram. So yesterday's dram was your typical, not craft presentation, but your typical high-class Scotch whisky, high-class Speyside Scotch whisky. This one, getting some rather damp notes. Damp oakiness. Quite spicy. So, right off the bat, obviously I haven't tasted this yet, but it doesn't smell that old. That spiciness in particular, that actually smells quite young, which makes me wonder how it's ended up in the premium advent calendar. What is special about this? So I'm getting my nose right in that glass, and it's not burning me. I'm not getting an alcoholic nip on the nose. So I don't think it's an incredibly high ABV either. It smells quite fruity, but it's quite a synthetic confectionery, jelly sweet, and that spiciness. I don't know if there's some virgin oak, or again if it's an STR cask perhaps. So fruity, spicy, a little bit of damp oak. It smells like a whisky that is not particularly old, but they've tried to do everything they can to cover that up and give it a bit of maturity, although it's coming off as a bit of a forced maturity. I'm really curious to try this one to see if it tastes like the ABV is higher than it smells. Because at the moment, based on the smell alone, I'm going to go with another probably 43% for this one. See how it tastes. There's a little bit of smokiness on the palate to this one. Getting a little bit of funk on the nose, but not anything that I picked up immediately as smoke. Have another sip. So slightly dirty peatiness, the sort of dirty peatiness that you get with quite a young peated whiskey, but it's not heavily peated. I must say that this one is probably going to have me a little bit stumped. A bit of a saltiness as well. But that jammy wine gums note, that seems a little bit, I don't know if it's coming through from the spirit and it's a very non-traditional whiskey, or if that is an STR cask or something like that, something that's been done to hurry this whiskey along. As for the ABV, definitely no higher than 43. So I'm kind of wondering why this one is in the calendar. The more I smell it, the more I do get a stale smokiness on the nose. Definitely getting quite a youthfulness though. Let's have another sip. I'm going to go ahead and say that even though this is in the premium whiskey advent calendar, I think that this is probably a 40% whiskey. No more than, it may be 41 or at the most 42, but I don't think this is even 43%. And the smokiness is what's throwing me most. But I don't understand why this is in the premium whiskey advent calendar. And I don't think that this is single malt Scotch whiskey. This isn't a horrible whiskey, but it's got signs of youth all over. But no real harshness. It's well rounded. A whiskey that has an element of smoke and then they bottle it at low strength. I can't think of anything. And whatever it is, what is it about it that makes it worthy of being in the premium advent calendar? Because honestly, I would not pay, I don't know, it's a low strength whiskey, but I wouldn't be happy paying any more than £30 for a bottle of this. It's such a strange one that it seems like a very engineered, over-engineered and forced whiskey, and it's so underpowered, and that smokiness. I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to find out what it is. Well, I was right about the 40%. Johnnie Walker blue label for it. I don't know if anyone could see when I held it up before. May have been in focus earlier. So that one threw me for a little bit of a loop, which I'm sure Diageo will be very shocked and upset about. I think it's the low strength, the low ABV, and obviously the fact that there's probably some very old peated whiskies go into this one, but there's also a lot of crappy grain and crappy blends. And the fact that they water it right down to minimum strength doesn't do it any favours. I'm going to have a little bit more of this, now that I know what it is. Because I have reviewed Johnnie Walker Blue Label. I don't think I gave it a great grade, probably quite a damning grade compared to what most people would give it. So at least I'm consistent there, that I didn't like it before and I don't like it now. Let's have the whole thing. So the thing about Johnnie Walker that I always found before is that the nose is decent-ish. You can smell some peat and some well-matured whiskey, but then when you taste it, it's just bleh. It's got no energy behind the nose. I must admit that I'm not really getting that this time. Is it possible that Johnnie Walker has taken a bit of a dive in quality over the last few years? If you've got experience with Johnnie Walker Blue Label, and probably not many people that take their whiskey seriously have. But if you have and you think that the quality has gone down recently, or if it hasn't, either way, let me know in the comments. Because I'm just getting a pepperiness, a little bit of a sulphury quality. There's definitely smoke there, but it's subdued. Possibly because it's a small percentage of smoky whiskey that goes into this. And it's quite old smoke, or relatively old smoky whiskey. And that just means that it gets a little bit lost. Definite youth on the nose though. Like elements of youth. You can tell that there's young whiskey in the mix. Let's try the palate again. Like I said before, it's not a bad whiskey, but it does not belong in the premium whiskey advent calendar. I can see now why they did put it in, because it's an astronomically expensive whiskey, but it probably shouldn't be. So, and also that pepperiness on the nose. I've not noticed that in a Johnnie Walker before. Possibly from Talisker, or possibly just from some young PT casks that aren't quite mature. Quite a slightly ugly spiciness. Not a huge fan of that one. I can't actually remember what Johnnie Walker Blue sells for a bottle, but I know it's a hell of a lot, and I would not be happy paying that much for a bottle of this. So I'm interested to hear more than ever what you guys think of this one, because if you've never tried Johnnie Walker Blue Label before, this is a great treat. Being able to see what it's all about, and if you have, let me know if you think this is a little bit, I mean, it's never been a great whiskey, but if you think that it's taken a little bit of a dip in quality, because I do remember really liking the nose when I tried it before, but not so much the palate. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you. Cheers.
Oh,